What's going on there, YouTube? Welcome back to another comic book video. Okay, so we are going to continue our coverage over X-Men comics as we work our way up to the Executioner Song crossover that we are going to talk about on my channel very soon. But before we are able to actually dive into that crossover, we got to cover some other stories that kind of lead up into it. And so today we're going to talk about X Factor issue number 74 and 75. Now, before we dive into today's story, we have to remember that this is the second generation of X Factor. The first team actually rejoined the X-Men by this point in Marvel Comics. And so you had a set of characters come in together to take up the mantle of X Factor. So you have Strong Guy, Quicksilver, Polaris, Havoc, and Wolfbane, and also Jamie Madrox. Now, those six characters were able to come together because of Val Cooper. Now, Val Cooper works alongside with the president, and really, she's kind of in charge of dealing with all the mutants and non-mutants in the country to kind of see if the country needs to be protected by the superhuman beings across the country. Now, by this point in Marvel Comics, the president and the American government wants to build a better relationship with the mutant race. And so the president thought it would be a good idea to form a new X Factor team that works for the government to kind of show the public that, hey, listen, we, the government, want to actually help out the mutant race. We, the government, want to work with them. And so you had Val Cooper being able to bring in those characters to make a new X Factor team. Now, in our last video, we had actually talked about the idea that there are two characters who are trying to bring down different members of X Factor in very unique kinds of ways. So, for example, when it came to Quicksilver, he actually went out of his way to find X Factor to get their help because someone told him they did something to his powers, where if he kept using his powers, he will begin to age at a faster rate. And so for Quicksilver, his main goal is to figure out who in the world did it to him, but to also how to reverse it as well to save his life. But also, we had another incident with Jamie Madrox as well. You see, when it came to Jamie, he joined X Factor, but then while you had the team doing a press conference to announce the team to all of America, well, you then had another Jamie Madrox appear, saying that he was the real one, leaving us wondering who was actually the real Jamie. Either way, you have both Jamies fight against each other, but you had X Factor go out of their way to knock out both guys and basically lock them up until they are able to figure out who in the world is the real Jamie, but also how can they still save Quicksilver's life as well. And so right now the team is just trying to keep everything together, but they don't know that our mysterious bad guys, their next target on their team is actually Strong Guy. Now, this is also Peter David beginning to lay the groundwork for later stories down the road when it comes to his run on X Factor. So, for example, in the opening pages for today's video, we actually pick up with Havoc just trying to relax at night, trying to sleep, except he's having a bad dream. And so when he wakes up, he's then confronted by Wolfbane. Now, this is a very creepy moment because you're now waking up after having a bad dream. And then when you wake up, there's some wolf girl in front of your bed staring at you, making sure that you are okay, quotation marks. Now, this is also kind of like Peter David saying maybe Wolfbane has a crush on Havoc, trying to bring in a new love triangle between Havoc, Polaris, and Wolfbane. Now, you have Havoc try to talk to her, but she's not trying to talk to him. And so she runs away, leaving us wondering what in the world just went down. Now, Havoc is not the only person having a nightmare. Matter of fact, so is Quicksilver. But it seemed like his nightmare has to deal with Crystal, who's part of the Inhumans royal family. Because remember, they were married. I think by this point in Marvel Comics, they're no longer married. And it's Quicksilver kind of having a bad dream about their own marriage. Now, the following day, we do see Havoc and Polaris kind of having a game together, but this is Havoc trying to tell Polaris what happened to him the previous night. The idea of waking up and seeing some wolf girl at the end of your bed is very creepy. Now, for Polaris, she does kind of joke around here, saying like, hey, you know what? She's a young girl. Maybe it's just a crush. You are an older man, a hotter old man, and she finds you very attractive. But this is also Polaris kind of like, I don't like the idea that another woman was in your room staring at you so creepily and wants you so badly. And so we're going to see Polaris try to have a one-on-one conversation with Wolfbane down the road in the story. Now, like I said a moment ago, we have two characters who are trying to come after X Factor. The problem was, in our last video, we had no idea who they were. With this page, we do learn that one of them is actually Mr. Sinister, and he's working alongside with someone else who's actually a senator in the American government system. And that would be Stephen Shaffron. Now, Stephen Shaffron is going to be really important for this story arc, but after this story arc, we're not going to see him. But we also do learn that he does have a certain kind of ability that I will explain more later on in this book. Just know that his power is going to be the reason why X Factor is going through a lot of different things. But getting back over to the base of X Factor, we do pick up with Val Cooper bringing in her ex-husband, and that would be Edmund Atkinson. Now, the reason why she brought Edmund over is to give the two Jamies a polygraph test to kind of see which one is actually the real one by asking them a set of questions, because the copy one will not know all the answers to all the different questions. Only the real one would know all the answers to all the different questions. Either way, you're going to have Edmund giving them a polygraph test. Now, while he gets sets up, you then have X Factor get a message with someone saying, hey, I'm calling out Strong Guy. I want to see him at the Washington Monument because him and I are going to do battle. And so now our team has to head over to Washington Monument to fight against an unknown character. And so once you have our heroes arrive at that location, you then have our heroes meet a new character, and his name is Slab. Now, when it comes to Slab, this is his first appearance ever in Marvel Comics, but he has the mutant ability to change his size. And when he does, he also enhances his super strength as well, and make himself very durable as well. Now, for Slab, we have no idea why he's coming after Strong Guy, but these two characters are technically at an even level when it comes to power, because with Strong Guy, he's also able to enhance his super strength, but he has to absorb kinetic energy. Now, you have Slab tell our heroes there was a bomb placed nearby in this area. The problem is the only person who will be fast enough to find the bomb is Quicksilver. But let's not forget that Mr. Sinister and his new partner did something to Quicksilver's powers, where that now he uses it, most likely he will begin to age at a faster rate. But the problem is there's innocent people right now in danger. And so unfortunately, he has to go ahead and use his powers to find that bomb in a timely manner. Now, getting back over to the base of X Factor, we do pick up with Val Cooper and Edmund giving both Jamies a polygraph test. Now, with this polygraph test, they were able to see who could be the real Jamie. And we kind of find out it's not the one who had joined X Factor. It's the other one who had basically appeared in the middle of that press conference claiming to be the real Jamie. He's saying that he is the real one and the other one is a fake. Now, that's pretty huge. But the question is that actually true? And so you have both Jamies say, you know what? There's one person who is for sure going to know who is the real one, and that would be Moira McTaggart. Now, I want to jump back over to X Factor at the Washington Monument as you have Strong Guy fighting against Slab. Now, while you have the two characters fighting, let's not forget that Strong Guy does get stronger and stronger when he does absorb kinetic energy. And that's really important for this section right here. And here's the reason why. You see, he's not holding back. And so when he tries to take out Slab, he does miss a punch. And that punch does hit Washington Monument, destroying the entire thing. And then Slab is able to get away just like that. And so now it does look like that X Factor had just destroyed Washington Monument. Really, Strong Guy did. Now, when it comes to Havoc, his main goal is to help out the innocent people who may be hurt by the collapsed building, except that is when they are confronted by, well, the bad guy, the Senator, and that would be good old Steven Shafran. He said, hey, you guys are arrested because what you guys did is completely wrong. But as we dive into X Factor issue number 75, the big 75th issue, we are then introduced to a new group that's not really around a lot in Marvel Comics, and that would be the Nasty Boys. Now, the Nasty Boys on their own, they do appear many times in Marvel Comics, but as their group, the Nasty Boys, they only appear about 6 times. Now, this team was actually put together by Mr. Sinister to be his own personal strike team. And really, he also walks into the room that he had gave them, and unfortunately, the Nasty Boys are actually nasty to the point where they have mold growing out of their floors in their apartment or whatever. Either way, on the Nasty Boys, you have Slab, Gorgeous George, Hairbag, Ramrod, Ruckus. Yeah, that's their names. It's honestly pretty wild. But either way, like I said, these guys are Sinister's strike team, and he's going to use them as a way to go after X Factor. Now, when he does walk into their apartment, he does see them watching the news about what happened to Strong Guy, how he was arrested, but Val Cooper was able to get him out of jail. Now, we also see the Senator also talking about what the mutants did to the Washington Monument. And so for Sinister, we kind of get the idea that he has plans going on that he is not sharing with his partner, the Senator. Now for Strong Guy, he actually wants to leave the team because this man was arrested, fingerprinted, and basically treated like a criminal, even though he was battling against a villain who had called him out, who had put people's lives in danger. Now for Havoc, he does tell Strong Guy, hey, don't leave the team. Let's stick together and try to figure out who is actually behind this. And so you have Strong Guy agree, but it's kind of like, hey, you better hurry up because I'm telling you, sooner or later, I'm out of here. But now we jump over to Ramrod and Ruckus, 2 members of the Nasty Boys. Now for me personally, I kind of like Ruckus, and the reason why, because he has the ability to absorb sound energy and release it as a concussive force. Kind of cool to me a tad bit. Now for Ramrod, well, he has the ability to make wooden material longer, hence the name Ramrod. Yeah. That's his power. Either way, the 2 guys on a beer run, but they have no money to pay for their beers. So they cause some trouble in the store they were trying to buy the beer from. Most likely killing the guy off to get the beer for free. Now, getting back over to our heroes at the base of X Factor, we do see them on call with Moira Tagger. Now, when it comes to Moira Tagger, by this point in our coverage over X-Men comics, she's no longer a bad guy, no longer being controlled by the Shadow King. She's now back to normal. Now, the reason why they called her, because for a while there, Jamie Madrox was actually staying with Moira Tagger on Muir Island, but then out of nowhere, he just left. And of course, he joined X Factor. But the reason why they're calling her is because one of the Jamies, the one that appeared in the middle of our story in our last video, the one that did not join X Factor, had said, listen, only one person knows about this certain thing I used to do back on Muir Island. And of course, only Moira Tagger knows about it. And so when you have Moira Tagger confirm that what that Jamie is saying is true, it now proves that the other Jamie, the one that had joined X Factor, is actually a fake, a copy. And so now the real Jamie, the one that appeared in the middle of our last story, will now have to use his ability to reabsorb the other Jamie, the copy. Now, the one that did join X Factor, he cannot believe in the idea that you have all this evidence right now being laid out in front of him to say that he is the fake one, that he is not the real one. He can't believe it, but unfortunately, he has to. Now you do have everybody leave the room to kind of allow both of the Jamies to actually sit down with one another to kind of talk things out, where you have the supposed real Jamie say like, hey, I know it sucks that you believed that you were the original one, but now you know that you are not the original one. That now you know I am the real Jamie Maddox. And so you have this suit wearing one begin the process of absorbing the one that had joined X Factor. And just like that, he's gone. Now, the way he is drawn here, we're kind of left to believe that he's actually evil because the evil smile on his face. And so now we kind of know that maybe that is not the real Jamie, but we just saw him absorb the other one. So it's kind of like, is it really him or not? Is he the real one or the fake one? Now, the next page kind of tells us a lot going on behind the scenes. So when it came to Val Cooper, when she had brought her ex-husband Edmund, that was not her ex-husband at all. Matter of fact, it was Sinister pretending to be him to kind of help out with his plan. But then on top of that, when it comes to Jamie, well, he does leave the actual base of X Factor and gets in the vehicle along with Mr. Sinister. So now we know that this Jamie is working alongside with him. Now, we're going to shift our focus over to Quicksilver just for a quick second. And the reason why, because you have a doctor right now trying to run some tests on him. And you have the doctor tell everyone in the room that Quicksilver is perfectly fine. Like, he's at perfect health. The only thing he's worried about Quicksilver is that he may be just stressed out and he needs to relax. And that's really it. But for Quicksilver, he cannot believe that because, again, he came to X Factor believing that someone had altered his powers in a way where if he does use them, he is going to age up. But the doctor says, no, you are perfectly fine. And he leaves. But now I want to jump over to Sinister, who heads over to the home of the Nasty Boys. But he also brings Jamie and also the Senator as well. And here is the reason why. He wants everybody to get the chance to know one another. But we do learn that this Jamie is actually a copy, not the real one. So let me explain. The real Jamie got absorbed earlier. This one is a copy that broke away but stayed behind the scenes to make sure that the real Jamie forgot about its copy. Now, here's the catch though, because we learned in our last video that only the original Jamie has the ability to absorb all the copies. Now, a copy may absorb a copy, but a copy cannot absorb the original Jamie. Well, this one did. And so we're kind of left to wonder, how does his powers truly work? Now, we also see the Nasty Boys meeting the Senator as well. And we do learn that he has the ability to kind of change things around him. Let me explain. You see, when it comes to the Senator, he has the ability to change the outcome of different kinds of situations around him. So for example, if he decided one day that he wanted to run for president, well, he could do that. And matter of fact, he'll be able to shift the election into his favor. Or let's say that he wants everyone to believe that a certain person is guilty, like Strong Guy. He is able to alter their minds to make those people actually believe that Strong Guy is actually guilty. And so he could use that power on almost anybody. And so his goal right now is to, well, use it on the president next. Now, there is another character we have to talk about, and that'll be Vic Chalker. Now, Vic Chalker is this professor we have been seeing in the earlier chapters over Peter David X Factor, where this professor is plotting to go after the mutant race. And so he had created some kind of exoskeleton suit to use against the mutant race. The problem is, every single time he believes that he had actually finished the project, something else goes wrong with it. Now, I want to shift our focus over to Polaris and Wolfbane, because you do have Polaris kind of confront Wolfbane about what she did to Havoc in the last chapter. Now, for Wolfbane, she's kind of pretending that she has no idea what Polaris is talking about. So it does kind of seem like Peter David is trying to bringing the whole idea of a love triangle between Polaris, Havoc, and also Wolfbane. Now, while you have the two ladies talking, the rest of the team arrive, and they realize that it must be somebody out there who has the ability to turn different kinds of situations in their favor against X Factor. And so our heroes, they're trying to figure out who it could possibly be. But now we have to jump back over to the Nasty Boys' home. Now, I want to shift our focus onto the fake Jamie, because out of nowhere, he begins to get absorbed inside. Like his body goes in and then pops out the real Jamie, the one that had joined X Factor. He had learned the ability to allow a copy to absorb him, but then of course break free when the time comes for him to break free. And so because of that, he was able to learn everything that was going on with Sinister, the Nasty Boys, and also Mr. Sinister as well. And so you have the real Jamie being able to just get the heck out of there. He's able to break away, and the Nasty Boys are wondering why Mr. Sinister did not stop Jamie from getting away. He said, listen, I wanted him to escape. I wanted him to hopefully go over to the Capitol to confront the senator while he gives his speech against the president. It's all part of my master plan. Now you have Jamie being able to arrive at the Capitol, and when he does, his main goal is to make sure that everyone at the Capitol know that it was Stephen Shaffran who was using his powers as a way to make X Factor look bad. Now, of course, you do have the Nasty Boys arrive there to fight against Jamie, to make sure that he is not able to tell anybody at the Capitol. But luckily for Jamie, the rest of X Factor arrived just in time to actually stop the Nasty Boys. And so you do have Jamie being able to confront Steven, where he does announce that it was him using his ability in a way to turn things into his favor, because he hates the idea of the president trying to push this agenda where the American government is going to work with the mutant race. It sounds horrible to him. But either way, you have Steven being able to fly away. But when he does, he said, listen, I am going to spread the word about my whole idea, the idea of the president, and you mutants should not be in our government system at all. And he flies away. But at the very end of the book, we do learn that that was actually Mr. Sinister pretending to be Stephen Shaffran, the senator. And here is the reason why. So he heard that when it came to the senator, he had the ability to turn things into his favor. And he was going to use that ability as a way to become president, and then push this agenda where you're going to have the American government turn their backs on the mutant race, which would then make things even harder for the mutants across the country. And so for Mr. Sinister, he could not allow that at all, because to him, he needs the mutants to still have free range to run all his different projects. But also, he got afraid about the idea that Steven might go after Havoc. And for Mr. Sinister, Havoc is needed for his plans down the road. Just like Cyclops and Jean Grey were, Havoc is on his list. And so then you have Mr. Sinister go ahead and kill off Steven to wrap up today's story. So with that being said, guys, please leave me a like down below and subscribe. Also, if you have any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But guys, see y'all next time. Later.